All right, so what's up with you?
Not much. Just got into Austin last night. Thankfully, my plane didn't crash.
What was happening with that?
So, I mean, I'm not an expert on the subject by any means, but from what I know, so first off, I don't know, have you seen Boeing stock lately?
No, I haven't.
Dude, so if you look at Boeing stock, and again, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but it's red and it goes this way, right?
Okay.
So it's definitely a bear market time for Boeing stock. And so from what I know, you know, obviously we've been seeing all these videos on the internet that have been circulating of wheels falling off planes.
I've seen that.
Doors coming off planes.
Did you see the plane on the runway where the front tires, it was like flat? They
Dude.
like landed on the runway, the front tires were just gone.
Dude, I think I briefly saw it, but my memory's hazy because so many of them is happening now,
Yeah.
you know, and you just can't keep up with it. But, you know, you're seeing all these videos online of stuff happening. Add on to that the fact that there's been news companies like, for example, Al Jazeera, of all people. I heard somebody say a funny joke. Al Jazeera went undercover into Boeing to interview employees on how they could crash the planes. That's what I heard somebody joke about. I thought it was pretty good. But no, in all seriousness, Al Jazeera went there to do undercover reporting. They were asking actual factory employees at the Boeing factory, would you fly one of these planes? And every single answer was, I would not fly one of these planes. And the craziest part of the entire story, I don't know if you heard about this. I gotta pull the guy's name up right now real quick. John Barnett. Did you hear about that?
I haven't.
So John Barnett was a quality control engineer / manager at Boeing for more than 30 years. Okay, he worked there for more than 3 decades. Obviously, stopped working at Boeing. When he stopped working at Boeing, he started talking about all of the quality problems that Boeing was having. He specifically was in charge of, in the factory where the 787 was developed, which I think, it is my belief, according to my current knowledge, that it's one of the more common airplane models that Boeing produces, this Boeing 787.
Okay.
He was saying that the 787 had quality control, like it had problems with it. And in tests, it was showing that when, obviously planes fly 30,000 feet up in the air, if something happens with the oxygen supply, the emergency oxygen system was showing up to a 25% failure rate.
Damn.
That's what he was saying about the 787s. So in other words, if for some reason something happened at 30,000 feet up in the air where the friggin' gas mask drop, and there's a 1 in 4 chance that everybody's going to suffocate to death up there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Was it that specific model?
So he was saying the 787 and the 737 were the 2 models that he was talking about a lot. That he was saying that he was very concerned with.
Yeah.
Now,
737 is like the most common one that I fly on.
Really?
I think so.
So you know what those 2 planes that disappeared into the nothing were?
They were 737s?
Boeing 737s.
Yeah.
So that's not the craziest part of the story. So the craziest part of the story is this guy. So he's whistleblowing. He's talking about this Boeing thing. He has a meeting with Boeing lawyers on. This is like a month or 2 ago. People who watch this can just look it up online. I don't remember the exact dates off the top of my head, but he has a meeting with lawyers on a Friday, the Boeing lawyers, to do a deposition with them. On the Saturday after the deposition, he was found dead in his car from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Wow.
And it is extremely suspicious and sketchy timing for him to die from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And everybody that watches this guy's interviews, myself included, you watch the guy's interviews and you're like, this guy's normal. He doesn't seem like somebody who's just going to off themselves or has any plans of offing themselves anytime soon.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I haven't followed that at all, but has it all been those 2 model planes that are crashing? And how many crashes has it been? Like, is this within a recent time frame, or has this been like happening for a while?
Well, I think it's an accumulation of a few things. So like it's the combination of all the videos that are going out on the internet of wheels falling off planes, doors flying up. Dude, that door that ripped off, there was a 7-year-old. He literally had his shirt ripped, vacuumed off of him.
That's fucking crazy.
Out the door.
It's like out of a movie.
Yeah, dude. like I mean, imagine that kid didn't have his seatbelt on or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, he would have been sucked right out of that plane.
Yeah, he'd have been fucked.
And then I remember. Do you remember a while ago? Maybe one of the guys remembers. Dave and Randy on the back scenes of the plane that the engine like blew, and it blew a window off, and a woman got sucked into the window, and her organs actually came out of her and were vacuumed into the air. Do you guys remember that?
I don't remember that, but I believe it for sure.
Yeah, and now I'm curious. I'm just thinking about that now. I'm wondering if that was a Boeing. Now I'm starting to wonder.
Yeah, it might be.
If that was a Boeing.
What are the other plane, like besides Boeings, like what are the other most common ones?
Okay, so the other...
I think anytime I look at a plane and I like open the pamphlet and it's always a Boeing.
Yeah.
I'm always flying like American or Delta or something like that.
No, for sure. So obviously, like myself, like I live in the Northeast, and to come down here to Austin to continue to learn from Professor John and continue to train with the guys, I have to fly on a plane, because I did look into this. A train would take like 2 days of travel, of just like constant travel, and it's just like for me to travel 2 days on a train and then get here and do training is just like not optimal.
Right.
So I found out actually that on kayak.com of all places, you can go on kayak.com, and when you book your flight, there's a drop down, and you can see what model plane is assigned to that flight.
Right. Yeah.
So to answer your question, what is another common brand? So it is, to my knowledge, the two main brands of airplanes out there right now is the Boeing and the Airbus. The Airbus is the other big brand.
Right, yeah.
So the plane that I took here was an Airbus.
You intentionally did that.
I intentionally did that.
I've seen that for sure. I've seen Airbus before, but I just never pay attention to it. Like I feel like you pay way more attention to these kind of things.
Well, I mean, if I'm listening to this whistleblower saying that all the oxygen is going to go out of the air, 30,000 feet up in the air, and I got like kids and a wife to live for, like you start to get concerned. You know.
Plus, you got the nose strip, so that might be
harder
to breathe.
You know. So, dude, and in my church back home, there's a pilot. He flies for American Airlines. His name's Steve, really nice guy. So I went up to Steve. So I was flying yesterday evening, Sunday. So at church in the morning, I go up to Steve. I'm like, hey, Steve, have you heard about all the Boeing stuff? And Steve is the type of guy where he doesn't really like to talk about all the, not that he doesn't like to talk about it, he doesn't believe any of like these quote unquote conspiracy theories.
Right.
Like he doesn't believe 9/11, there was anything sketchy about it. It was just jihadists that hated the United States.
Sure.
You know, so, and he's not that type of person, right? So he was like, I'm not particularly concerned about, Boeing airplanes. I fly them all the time. He said, like, if you compare the sheer amount of flights that are out there compared to how many actual incidences are happening of like, whether a wheel falls off or something, it's so minuscule. It's like basically you could ignore it, right?
You got to wonder also how many of those are being reported now and for what reason, like where they were not being reported or making headline news, where the ratio might be the same.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. So anyways, so he's saying that, right? And so, obviously he's a pilot, like he's an actual professional in the field. Like who am I to question him, right? So I say, okay. I said, Steve, my follow-up question to you is, what do you think about that Boeing whistleblower that was found dead? And then immediately he went, that was very sketchy. Yeah. That was incredibly sketchy, and that was very odd.
Yeah.
To say the least.
That's
you know what I mean? So the fact of the matter is, like, even this, like, my point being, even this guy who's not particularly fond of quote unquote conspiracy theories, who's a professional in the industry, who's not particularly fearful of flying on Boeing airplanes, despite all these videos that are coming out, even he was willing to admit that the timing of that death was just completely strange.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, to say the least.
That's crazy. I gotta look more into that.
Do you know if you're flying a Boeing to go to Vegas?
Probably.
You
I would
are?
have to guess, yeah.
Yeah.
It's I'm flying American. So I think they mainly anytime I fly an American that I've noticed it's been a Boeing.
So I had a buddy send me a reel, my buddy Drew, who he works in the medical industry selling devices, so he flies all the time to meet with doctors. And he sent me a reel. Again, it's just a reel, so who knows if it's true or not. But he sent me a reel, and according to the reel, it was a woman talking about that apparently Delta had pulled all 787s out of their current lineup. I don't know. Maybe somebody can Google it, and I just happen to see it. So
right.
I don't know. But you can go on kayak and you can see like what the plane that's being flown.
I'll switch to an Airbus.
My boss Michael did tell me though that they reserve the right to like change the plane that's used according to like whatever. So I mean, at the end of the day, like we're talking about something that is truly out of our control. It's
yeah, for sure. There's so many factors. Like you don't know what's actually like. I have no idea anything about airplane engineering or mechanics or fucking models or none of that shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's just the fact of being up there and having zero control of the situation.
It's a freaky thing actually flying when you think about it. It's so normal for you or for us, just like human beings in general. Yeah. And like if you see like a first time flyer who's freaking out, you're like what do you freak out? I have a friend who's like one of my best friends, and he hasn't been able to leave Florida because we grew up in Florida. He hasn't been able to leave since he was 12 years old because he had a panic attack the last time he tried to fly.
Really?
He won't fly. Like
Did he get off the plane or
they had to land the plane.
What?
He was flying. They were like mid-flight to wherever they were going. They had to land the plane because he was freaking out like crazy. He might have been like 14, something like that.
Crazy.
So he hasn't been able to leave for over 10 years. He's like 2 years younger than me.
So my wife is one of these people that just freaks out like inside of an airplane. She like whenever we're flying, she'll only fly with me because somehow like I make her feel safe. Right. Like somehow I'm gonna have some sort of input if something goes wrong at freaking 30,000 feet up in the air. Like the oxygen goes out, I'm gonna give her mouth to mouth. Like, I'm gonna keep her alive. You know what I mean? Like so. Anyways, she for some reason or another she feels safer with me, and when we're flying, she's just like clutching onto me for dear life, you know? She's like holding on to me like this, you know?
Dude, if I was on a plane and I'm like 3 hours deep into a 6-hour flight and my friend was having a panic attack that would cause the plane to land and just delay, because traveling is just annoying as it is.
Yeah.
I would literally strangle him unconscious as many times as it took for the remainder of the 3 hours because we're not landing this fucking plane. I would be so pissed. If we landed, I'd just beat the shit out of him the second we landed.
That's hilarious, dude. That's hilarious. Yeah.
Because that would destroy the trip.
Yeah.
Like travel in and of itself is just...
Of course. Of course. But I mean, the point being, at the end of the day, like, it's something that's, out of our control, really.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
I mean, statistically, driving is way more dangerous.
Yeah, statistically, flying is very safe, but it is freaky because you never see that happen. And when you actually sit down and think about it and think how high you are in the sky, and you're in this freaking torpedo of explosion.
Sure. Yeah. But I mean, again, it's like it almost makes no sense because like we drive around and dude, there's so many crazy drivers on the road.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're driving these metal boxes at like 80 or 90 miles an hour around each other.
Yeah.
Like that's so much more dangerous than flying in the sky. But again, when we fly in the sky, we have zero control.
Right, exactly.
So it makes us feel like fearful, I think, because of that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So you're here to film John?
I'm here to do some work with John. How much work we get done totally depends on how John is feeling. Yeah.
So now that you're in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah.
You're not in New Hampshire.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I might end up in New Hampshire.
Okay.
There are some parts of New Hampshire that are actually close enough to where I live in Massachusetts, where I could still do life in Massachusetts while living in New Hampshire. Just more of a commute.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But so normally you come down, you do some work with John. Usually you're filming B-roll and that kind of stuff for his instructionals. Is that what you're doing now? Yeah.
So when I come down to Austin, typically I do it to get work done for Fanatics. Yeah. And then also while I'm here, I get to train, I get to learn, you know what I mean? So it also helps me as a jiu-jitsu coach, as a jiu-jitsu athlete to continue developing, Yeah. And honestly, I like to do it. Like if you're not growing, you're stagnating, you know.
Yeah,
and if you're
sure.
stagnating, you're gonna get worse. So I like to come. I like to, stay up to date with what the latest techniques are, so that back home I feel like I can confidently say to my students, like, listen, I'm giving you very modern no-gi jiu-jitsu.
For sure.
And I'm working hard to like stay up to date on everything.
Yeah.
So
you have a school. Your school's in not Worcester, but it's in.
It's in Worcester County. It's in the Worcester County. So my school, Five Stones Jiu-Jitsu, is in Massachusetts, in Millbury, Mass.
Okay.
So that's the town that we're in now. We were previously in Westboro. Crazy story with a crazy landlord, honestly, and we had to relocate to Millbury, Massachusetts.
Right.
So that's where we're at right now.
Okay. Okay.
So far, it's going so good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell, I guess, a little bit about, like, I know it in pieces, but you started with Travis Stevens, who obviously learned jiu-jitsu, at least in part under John. He used to train a lot with John. Obviously, Olympic judo silver medalist, highly accomplished athlete. I guess talk to us about like the transition. You started training with Travis. What kind of what got you into jiu-jitsu? Period. How'd you get connected with him? How'd that transition happen to John?
So I got into jiu-jitsu in college.
Okay.
That's when I got into jiu-jitsu. I was 21 at the time. So actually, I got into jiu-jitsu kind of late, if you think about it, because I feel like most people in today's day and age, I
feel like the average nowadays is old. I would say it's kind of late if you consider
for competitors.
Yeah, but even then, right? Like Cobrinha, for example, I think Cobrinha started at 21.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
Or he definitely started later, and he didn't start he won his first black belt world title. I think he was 28, and he competed until he was like 38 or something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So, but yeah, I would say like because there's so many recreational people, a lot of people are starting later. So if you look at like the average, it might be early for the average, but I know what you mean.
Sure. Yeah. I'm saying like more for like the competitors, like the more and more the average starting age is becoming the teens.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so you have all these competitors where when you start doing jiu-jitsu when I was 14, when you start doing jiu-jitsu when I was 13, you know what I mean?
Some kids since they're in diapers.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, my kids, I already started teaching them wrestling.
Your kids freaking scrap. I've been to your house,
yeah. So, funny story, Giancarlo has come over to my house a couple times in Massachusetts. And every time he comes over, I'm like, Giancarlo, I got something awesome to show you. And I'll just take my kids and I'll just make them fight each other.
He's coaching them in Spanish with like a heavy Puerto Rican accent.
Oh, that's
awesome. It's hilarious, yeah.
You know?
And the girl, she freaking beats the shit out of the little kids. Your daughter?
It's because she's older, right? So she's 7 and her brother's 5, right? So, the difference between a 7-year-old girl and a 5-year-old boy at that age is big, Typically the girl has much more size and strength. So she can like do things, but he's catching up. He's slowly catching up. You know what I mean?
I believe it.
So, and also if he decides to become a trans person and gets a bunch of vials of testosterone, he could start winning some matches against his sister.
Exactly.
Pretty soon. You
can sign him up to the ADCC Open.
Yeah. But going back to what we were talking about, started jiu-jitsu in college at just a very local school in the Westfield, Massachusetts area. That school doesn't exist anymore. It was run by a brown belt named Alfonso. Great, very nice guy. I ended up relocating to another school in the Worcester County area, and then from that I was a white belt to blue belt at that school, and then from there during that time, I started finding out about like John. This is back when John still had Eddie Cummings on the team and whatnot. And I remember watching Eddie Cummings highlights, and I was like, that's the sickest thing I've ever seen. Because he was coming out, he was just finishing everybody in like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Yeah. And it was like back then, like the most basic leg lock sequences, like pull, Irimiyashi, reap the guy, outside, heel hook, roll through, outside heel hook.
Nobody knew what was happening at that time too.
Nobody knew. But for me, it was like this hidden knowledge. Like,
for sure.
I was watching this and I was like, this is sick. Like, I want to learn this. So I started paying a lot of attention to what was called the Danaher Death Squad back then, which was when Eddie Cummings was the black belt, Gary was a black belt. They were the two main guys. Gordon was still a brown belt when I first found out about. And I actually met Gordon as a brown belt once in a, it was a submission only promotion, The Good Fight. It was a Good Fight in New Jersey, I remember. But anyways, I found out that there was a John Danaher black belt in Massachusetts, Travis Stevens. So then I said to myself, okay, well, obviously if I want to learn this jiu-jitsu, I'm going to go to a person who's a black belt under that guy. So that's what I started to do. I just simply, like, Travis had opened his school. He started promoting it. This was right before he won silver at the Olympics.
Fuji Gym, right?
Yeah, Fuji Gym. It was right before he won silver at the Olympics. I went in, met him. I loved his demeanor. I loved his teaching. And I just started training under him, and it was great. Like, I got a lot of development out of it. Then I started taking trips down to New York City to learn from John directly. Right, I just literally showed up. I remember seeing what's Bernardo's wife's name?
Hyra.
I remember seeing Hyra.
So this is before BJJ Fanatics.
This is before BJJ Fanatics.
Okay.
I remember seeing Hyra at the front desk. How much is a drop in? $20. Perfect. $20. Walk on the mat, train. That was it. It was that simple.
Yeah.
So, and then I just started showing up, and I think, nothing catches John's attention more than consistency and hard work. That's what, honestly, if you want to catch John's attention, that's what it comes down to.
For sure.
Be consistent and work hard. Because he's seen so many people that come in the door, and it doesn't matter how good they are. If they just show up once, they leave, they come back again. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, what he cares about is the guy who's, like, showing up day in, day out.
Yeah, day in, day out, exactly.
Regardless, you know what I mean?
Gym rats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I was, like, so, like, dedicated to just coming in and, like, continuing to learn, it got John's attention. He started to, like, talk to me more. And then I asked him if he could coach me, and he said, yeah, I would coach you. So then that's kind of how I made the transition from Travis to John. And to this day, Travis is still a great jiu-jitsu coach. And I would love to go back and learn some more from him. Actually, I've been meaning to do that lately, especially some of his judo techniques.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when I was living in Mass, actually, what didn't happen all the time, but towards the end, before I moved, Zenga and I would go to Travis's on Sundays and do some, like, judo and stand-up sparring with him and stuff. So I picked up a lot of good stuff from him.
Do you do gi or no gi mostly?
In the gi, yeah.
In the gi?
So at the time, Zenga was only doing gi. He's starting to do more no gi now, but yeah, it was more. I mean, even at that time, I was training more gi. I would do more gi sessions than no gi sessions. I was competing more in the gi and stuff.
Yeah, dude, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember you were putting. So most people don't know this because most people have probably not been following you that long. Like, I feel like average person that follows you perhaps started knowing about Giancarlo when you won ADCC. Yeah. But back in the brown belt days, Giancarlo was actually, like, more, like, invested in gi.
No, my whole jiu-jitsu life was like, I would always train no gi. So my first gym, we had no gi classes once a week. So I was literally one no gi class a week. But on the times that there weren't, like, classes, like my coach Hillian, he was training his son to do MMA. Okay. And so we would always train MMA and do no-gi, but it was more like MMA style. So we would, spar against punching, the wall and punching, et cetera, et cetera. So I was always, I wasn't, like, learning it more than one day a week, but I was always, doing it here and there, but it was like 90% of my training was gi. And you never really even at that time, you didn't really even think about gi and no-gi as a separate thing. You just you train with the exact same approach, same way.
Yeah, 100%.
Nowadays, like, if I put the gi on, I have to literally just almost scrap, not entirely scrap, but I have to completely shift the way that I approach things.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to be able to make that, there's a separation between the two.
Yeah.
But, like, pretty much up until I started training for East Coast Trials 2021, I was doing mainly gi, and then probably like 3 months before that is when I really started to, like, only train no gi to prepare for the trials.
Sure. I remember when you won brown belt worlds, right? So, and I remember you were training
no gi worlds.
He was training. Yeah, brown belt no gi worlds.
I got silver in the gi.
Brown belt no gi worlds, but he was training mostly in the gi, right? And also, like, probably most people don't remember this because obviously they probably weren't following you at the time. But what I was really impressed with when he won no-gi brown belt worlds is he did that literally a few months after he had torn his LCL.
MCL.
Right? MCL.
Yeah.
Right?
At the Fanatics tournament.
Yeah, he tore his MCL, and then a few months later goes and he gets gold at no-gi brown belt worlds when he wasn't even training that much no-gi.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you had, even back then, it's almost as if you had a more natural, I don't know what I call it, a more natural affinity towards no gi, even though you were training more gi.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what the reason for that is, but I noticed that too. Where a lot of tournaments, even when I was at Leprie's, like as a purple and brown belt, I would compete no gi, and I would always do noticeably better or have better performances, at least in my eyes, in the no gi tournaments, even though I was mainly training no gi, or when I was mainly training gi rather, and like. Getting ready for Worlds, I would just do what we used to do at Leprie's. So again, Leprie's at the time when I was, now they have more. I think they have 3 classes a week. I was there recently. Yeah. But Lucas Leprie's, who's like 6 or 7 time world champion in the gi, they only had one. I think that's Ty.
Yeah, somebody's knocking.
Yeah, that's Ty. Thanks, Dave. They only had one no-gi class a week when I was training there. So when Lucas was doing ADCC camps, because he did 2 ADCCs while I was training with him. Yep. Got 2 silvers. Sorry, I didn't get his. I wasn't there for the 2015 one where he got silver. Okay. But regardless, we would literally do the entire class. He would teach it in the gi, and then when it came time for sparring, he would just take the gi top off and have like 2 or 3 guys that he would just rotate and spar no-gi. So I was just doing that at Bernardo's.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So again, there wasn't like this shift in like, where we had to. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
How are you?
Man,
you look a little tired. What's going on?
Honestly,
is that why you have the glasses
I'm
on?
exhausted, bro. My eyes are crazy.
You can sit wherever you want. Like, we're graced by your presence.
Yeah, we're honestly, it's an honor just to have you here.
Yeah, it is.
I should have came in here like Conor McGregor.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, I'm late. I just don't give a fuck.
I mean, you got that vibe to you right now.
No, I'm
not gonna lie.
I'm not gonna keep these glasses on the whole time. What's up, buddy?
You can take them on. You know Randy?
No, I don't.
This is Randy, David.
Oh, no. Yeah. Randy?
No.
David.
This guy's tired.
I know this guy.
Bro, you should keep the glasses on. Yeah, you can keep the glasses on.
So, do you want a coffee?
Sure.
So, Tyler, tell us about your night.
I just go shoot a giant man, destroy a tiny woman for about 10 hours.
So it's 1 o'clock right now, p.m.
1 p.m. Yeah.
Ty was filming until like 5:30 a.m.
Yeah, we get there like 8, and then
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Yeah.
And then you start filming at 11 p.m.
Yeah. Well,
right. Right. That's typically how it goes,
like
right?
That, yeah. We start filming like at I think like 9:30 maybe. We just do like 1.5 hours, and then we called you, and then you surprised everybody, and then yeah.
And I left there at like past midnight. I left there at like 12:30.
Yeah, that's probably the reason why, because you were there distracting them.
This guy was. Can we cuss?
Huh?
Can we cuss?
Yeah, whatever.
This guy was ordering oysters, and fucking Michael Zenga was saying, anytime Michael Zenga comes in the room, bro. So we were FaceTiming Michael Zenga, and we had Placido.
I saw, I think, on the story you guys posted.
So it was extra long.
So, I mean, I leave there after midnight, and these people, like, they had filmed, like, what, 1 scene maybe?
No, bro.
Not even?
No. We filmed, like, 5 scenes.
Wow, that's a lot of work. 5 scenes. Yeah, that's like, what?
It's impressive.
4 minutes of work?
It's impressive. Bro, come on. Like Gordon, like John.
Yeah. But anyways,
so the backstory here is Ty and Placido are down here filming for Fanatics. Ty shows up a couple days ago to film Gordon Ryan. Gordon notoriously films till late in the night or in the early morning.
An all-nighter.
Yeah, so they'll start pretty late in the evening. We teach until like 6 p.m. we do class until at least like 5 or 6, and so then John's there working out after and stuff like that. So they're not starting until like late at night and filming all the way through the morning. Yeah. So this guy in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping thinks I'm gonna answer him.
No, I know. I don't think you're gonna answer me, bro.
Hey, let me know as soon as possible if we can reschedule this podcast. And I was like, dude, I'm sleeping. How soon can it possibly be? So he was trying to get out of it, but we got him in.
I know. Placido convinced me. He doesn't care about my well-being. Doesn't care about my sleep. He's like, bro, just come.
Bro.
And then you start threatening me.
No, it's
threatening me. Oh, sorry.
It's that we want you here.
Start threatening me, saying Giancarlo's mad at me.
He got a little angry.
He got a little angry.
I
wanted to be like on the text.
He got a little angry. Ask him.
You got angry?
I don't get angry.
Yeah, he got a little angry. That's what people say when.
But people that know you know when you're angry.
That's true.
People that know you know. Just like
people that are very close to me.
But it's
just like when your phone went off and Gordon, you should tell that story.
Yeah, but that was because he was chemically enhanced at the time with some stuff that would make him more prone to being angry.
I don't know anything about that, bro. Caffeine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay,
a Monster energy drink.
That's what we're saying.
But it's funny that Gordon does that and films all night because so I was in the Bahamas recently teaching jiu-jitsu to a client down there. And this
Can you say who the client is or no? Is it?
You're on Epstein
I
Island.
know who.
No. Epstein Island is hilarious. No, super nice guy. His name's Lyndon Lee. It's not a secret that Lyndon does jiu-jitsu.
Okay. No, I was just wondering. I don't know.
Yeah. His name's Lyndon Lee. Like super successful business owner, businessman.
Is he the All Saints guy?
Yeah, he owns All Saints. Yeah.
All
so he does jiu-jitsu.
I like that brand. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
He's actually also no. I wish.
So he does jiu-jitsu and he's a fan of the art and he likes to learn. So he brought me down to the Bahamas to teach him jiu-jitsu for a bit. And while I'm down there, I also got to meet Rich. What's Rich's last name? Rich Evett, I think is his name. Yeah, Rich Evett, who's a sound engineer for this studio down in this place called Albany Resort in the Bahamas. And dudes, all the most famous artists come there. Justin Bieber, Drake, all these people. Inclusively, when I was down there at the time, Meek Mill was there.
Oh, wow. Did you meet him?
No, I saw him in the sauna.
Okay,
I saw Meek Mill in the sauna, but this is before the Diddy. This is before the Diddy stuff came out. So
it's while it was going on.
I didn't. So full disclosure, I have never been a Meek Mill fan. Okay. And it's not because of the allegations that came out. All right. Okay. I just never got into Meek Mill's music.
Okay.
My buddy Drew, however, was, and he was I remember he's like. Freaking Meek Mill right there. That's Meek
he was
Mill.
there with you?
See him? Yeah, Drew came. I bring down an uke with me.
Okay.
So he's like, that was Meek Mill. And then when the friggin' Meek Mill allegations came out, I texted Drew. I was like, "Are you excited about Meek Mill, buddy?" But anyways, the whole point I bring that up is because Rich Evett, who's a sound engineer in the Monster Studio and it's sponsored by Monster. They have their logo on it at the Monster Studio. He was telling me about what it's like to record with famous people, and a lot of them are like that. They'll come in, say the start time is 9 p.m., especially rappers, he said. They'll show up at midnight.
Oh, yeah.
They'll show up at midnight. They'll just...
What are you going to do, not record?
Chill till 2 a.m., you know what I mean? Maybe they get inspiration. They'll bust out a song or something, you know what I mean? And he kind of has to live his life, kind of like Tyler, around the schedule of these superstars, And then he pays the price, just like Tyler is right now. No,
I'm not paying the price, bro. My bank account's fine.
He's getting paid.
I mean, we had to basically hassle you to show up.
Yeah, bro. That's what happens. I don't know what was going on before I entered the podcast, but I'm pretty sure it's way better.
We didn't talk about anything interesting. Now
so
that you're
Justin
here,
Bieber, Meek Mill. So you were at Epstein Island, bro. So you were at Epstein Island.
No.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber got Jeffrey Epsteined. That's what actually happened.
How old was he? Or how young was he at the time?
Well, I mean, there's the videos of not Meek Mill.
Was it baby Justin Bieber or was it the...
There's, I mean, you've seen now that all the Diddy allegations came out, now there's been videos of Diddy talking to Justin Bieber as a kid, and you see Justin Bieber, he's like, I mean, how old was he when he got famous?
I don't know, like 5, but dude, you hear the audio of Diddy and Meek, well, the alleged audio.
I didn't hear the audio.
Dude, it's crazy, bro.
Okay.
I haven't heard that.
I haven't heard that.
You guys look it up, man. It's nuts. Yeah, it's like, it's cringy. It's very bad.
But anyways, there's videos of Diddy talking to Justin Bieber, and he's like, oh, Justin, like now that you're a big famous guy, you don't come around anymore, huh? Like you don't come hang out anymore. And Justin's like, yeah, Diddy, I know. It's just, yeah, I appreciate everything you've done for me, you know, like this. Like you can tell it's like a very weird like vibe there.
I just feel like that world, like that those people live in, is so far removed from reality that it's so strange, man. Like you don't know what the hell happens.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've for what it's worth, I've heard, like, for example, like of Justin Bieber, like, for example, that guy I talked about, Rich, he told me Justin is an absolute sweetheart in person. Like, you meet him in person, great guy, such a sweet kid, speaks gently, treats you like super nice.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know for a fact there are evil people in that industry. I mean, there's evil people in every industry. Right. But I also know that there are people in those industries that are also very, well intentioned. Like, remember when we met Shawn Mendes in the sauna?
I didn't actually meet him, but yeah, I remember seeing him there. So it was Shawn Mendes.
I mean, if he says, "Hey, how you doing?" I would consider that meeting him.
Because the thing is, I don't know, like, so I've heard the name Shawn Mendes. Sure. I know he does music, but like, if I saw him, if he was here in this room, I wouldn't be like, that's Shawn Mendes. Like,
sure,
I can't put the face to,
So I didn't know who Meek Mill was until my buddy told me when we were in the sauna, that's Meek Mill.
Right, okay.
I didn't know who Shawn Mendes was until Rebecca told me in the sauna, that's Shawn Mendes.
Right.
You know what I mean? But my point being, when we met Shawn Mendes in the sauna, he said hi to me. Like, in the locker room. My point being, like, he's a super, like, famous guy, 40 million followers on Instagram.
He's personable.
And he went out of his way to say hi to another human being, where a lot of times, I guess, like, the impression is that these, like, super famous people don't care about normal human beings. You know what I mean? Which may be true to a certain extent, but some of them are an exception.
Sure.
A lot of people say that people that are perceived as assholes, like, oh, they're really, really kind in person. Like, I feel like they meet somebody, like, I'll meet, like, say, a fighter or something, and I'm like, man, he's an asshole online, but he's really, really kind in person. He's actually a sweetheart. You don't really know them. You don't really get to know them. You meet them for, like, 2 seconds.
Sure.
And you don't really get to see their side.
Sure.
And if they're willing to put, like, that kind of energy out online, then they got some, they're probably a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of asshole.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, like, I mean, what you're saying is 100% true. Like, you don't really get to know somebody until you spent considerable time around them.
Like Gordon. Online, he's an asshole, and in person,
he's a sweetheart.
Same thing. He's
a sweetheart.
Oh yeah. No. He actually is.
In his case, what he says is, I find it to be true. He's actually himself online and in person. Like, if people attack him online, he's going to attack them back, and if people attack him in person, he'll attack them back too.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, I have known Gordon to be more temperamental in person than he is online.
Right, he's a human being, right? So everybody's going to have, like, those characteristics. And, like, you don't actually have, like, you'll probably notice the emotions more in person. Well, I mean, you 100% will notice them more in person than you would. Like, for example, if he's, like you were talking about before, you were saying that I was mad in the texts. Like, he can't know if I'm actually mad in the text unless I'm actually, like, trying to.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
When it's.
Of course.
But when in person, you can actually read people's emotions.
Yeah, of course.
To me, I always say Gordon and John, they're the exact polar opposites online and in person. John is like this sensei online, right? Yeah. He has like this persona of like, like giving a whole bunch of wisdom, giving like paragraphs every day online. But in person, he's this charismatic, like outroverted, whatever.
I feel like it's like that with most online personas too. Like, if you look at all these influencers, like all the stuff that they post on
more
their
tame.
social media, like that's
More
just a
tame.
very small percentage of their actual personality and their life.
Yeah. Actual personality and actual thoughts.
Right, exactly.
You know, like most people hold themselves back online.
Yeah.
You know, which is like, yeah. But
and then Gordon, on the other hand, he's super like almost introverted in person. He's not like this crazy guy that you think is gonna you say he's temperamental, but he's like that's very rare. Like
no, I mean,
I feel like
honestly,
most people tend to be temperamental around you.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, bro. You get like John.
I have been told on more than one occasion that I have a special gift of getting under people's skin.
Right. I know for a fact that I've never seen Mr. Bernardo get irritated. Bernardo Faria, probably one of the nicest human beings on the face of the earth. But there's something about when you're in the room that triggers the water starts to ripple a little bit. You know, it's a nice flat. You could skip a rock.
They're intimidated, bro.
You know, with Bernardo,
and then all of a sudden there's a fucking choppy.
I'll tell you this
bro.
much. Here's why.
100%.
With Bernardo, it's a language barrier.
No, it's not. No,
Yes, it is.
it's not.
Yes, it is.
Everybody-
Listen to me. Yes, it is. Listen to me. I'm speaking.
It's not, dude. We all know you very well.
With Bernardo,
is the
it is a
thing.
language barrier. You know why? Because I have very facetious humor. Right? So it's like that type of humor that's mixed just a little bit with truth.
You can justify it all you want.
You know what I mean? No, but Bernardo, like I feel like Bernardo, okay, so they say the ultimate expression or like the ultimate sign that a person can dominate a language is they understand humor in the language. It's actually the hardest thing of the language to understand because humor, and John actually broke this up for me in person with Bernardo. Yes. Do not question Sensei.
I do.
Do not question Sensei. John was pointing out how humor, in order to understand humor, requires number one, obviously, an understanding of the vocabulary itself. But then you also have to understand pace. You have to understand tone. You have to understand slang. Like there's so many. There's so many. I want to include everybody here. Like I mean, just because he's black doesn't mean we have to ignore him. Okay.
I definitely agree with that being true, but I don't think that maybe there might be a few things that that go over his head in terms of like sarcasm or things like that.
Sure.
But I think he understands pretty much most things. I genuinely think that the defining factor is you.
You can tell yourself whatever you want to make you happy, bro. It's you. Maybe you just don't mix.
Well,
okay,
fine. Let's develop this a little bit. What about me specifically, Giancarlo?
This is not a therapist.
I'm gonna take out my Evernote. Go ahead.
That disrespectful face that you just make, bro. Just like those.
I will admit, I do have a particular knack of annoying people when I want to.
There we go. That's all we wanted to hear.
So you want to know?
We're not trying to make this a therapy.
So it depends on who it is. Like I enjoy annoying my friends. Yes. Don't I annoy you sometimes?
Yeah, I enjoy annoying. No, me too. 100%. It's funny to poke fun and get under people's skin. Yeah, it is. But you got to read the room. It's like there's some people that you can't do that with. It's like with Bernardo, you can't do that with him, bro, because he's like.
Listen to me.
He's like always just like.
I don't compromise my values like you. I'm the same with everybody.
This is why nobody remember your name, Bobby.
This is That's one of the funnest things about working at Fanatics, because this is like the dynamic that we all have all the time. Like when you and I started, so let's go back into. So we were talking about you training at Travis's and et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
So you were training under John, and then how did you transition? Like you were training under John before Fanatics. So like how did you get into Fanatics? How did you start being John Zuke, and then like how you and I met, et cetera.
I was making the trips down to New York City, and then as I had said before, like John had started taking notice of me of like an actual like part of the group that was consistently showing up in the gym. And then when Michael, at this time, I was still training in Fuji Gym with Travis Stevens and Michael Zenga, who's one of the owners of BJJ Fanatics, alongside our beloved Bernardo. Okay. And Michael, when he signed the contract with John to do the instructional for BJJ Fanatics, man, he was so excited. And I remember him pulling me aside after class, and he was like, "Man, I got a big guy from the Danaher Death Squad, big name, you know. And I was like, oh, who'd you get? Like Eddie Cummings? Like at the time, like I don't remember if this is before or after Eddie Cummings. Actually, no, I think this is right after the split. So I probably said like, who'd you get? Like Gordon Ryan or something? And he's like, nah, bigger. You know what I mean? And he's like, I got John Danaher. So he was like, do you want a uke for it? And I was like, 100%, I'm in. Like, sign me up. Like, I get to uke for John Danaher, and I get paid for it.
You weren't the original uke though, right? For the leg locks, there was another one.
No, the original uke was
Bernardo in the brick.
Was Bernardo? Room? Bernardo was one of them, yes, and also Carl Massaro. So right, Carl Massaro and Bernardo Faria were the two ukes for that first rough instructional. That ended up getting scrapped because, according to some Reddit users, the audio was not up to quality standards.
I remember, yeah.
You know?
So then he refilmed the entire thing.
So we refilmed the entire thing, I remember, and John wasn't particularly happy about that. And I feel sometimes like is John impatient? Especially in those days? Yes. He was very impatient sometimes, but at the same time, looking back at it now, like I see tape of myself back then, I'm like, I was so retarded. Like my reactions were so stupid. Yeah. Like I could see like how he would get frustrated. Like especially like I can appreciate it even now as a jiu-jitsu coach.
Was it before or after his hip surgery?
Right after his hip surgery.
Okay.
But his other hip still bothers him. Yeah. Bro, his knee is the size, like his knee is literally the size of a cantaloupe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like every time he moves it, it sounds like there's fruity pebbles in there.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. It literally feels like you put your hand on his knee and he flexes his knee back and forth. That exact same feeling you get when you crush a bag of fruity pebbles, that's what his knee feels like when he's moving it around.
I've never crushed a bag of fruity pebbles, but I can imagine.
You know?
Or anything crunchy.
Anything crunchy.
Yeah. He doesn't express pain either. Like he'll never complain about pain, but like being in constant pain.
But you can
imagine you have like a 7 or an 8 in pain, like constantly 24/7.
Yeah, sure.
It's fucking.
So here's my point is that, like, for example, take me, like, I'm not in particular pain all the time. Yeah, I have like small things here and there, but nothing like John. And even I, as being somebody who doesn't have like a million different injuries, when I tell a student something like 3 or 4 times, or they give me like the most stupidest reaction, like, bro, you as a human being, you get frustrated sometimes. You know what I mean? Like that's just what it is. So like to expect any different out of John, I think it's a little unreasonable.
Who's been doing it for 30 years?
Yeah, who's been doing it for 30 years. It's a little unreasonable in my opinion. Again, I mean, I'm not taking away the fact that perhaps he may have been impatient. He's gotten like way more patient, but I think that also has a lot to do with the fact that I've become way more skilled.
He's never gotten mad at me on camera, interestingly.
Yeah, that's...
Or off camera, really.
Yeah, I mean, it might be the eyes, Giancarlo.
Possibly.
It might be the eyes. Get a good shot of his eyes, like...
They got him.
I mean, how can you get mad at those eyes? Look at those things. They glisten in the light.
That's true.
They deceive you.
This morning,
like
true.
A snake.
Okay, 100% true story. So right before we filmed this, we went to breakfast at what was the name of this?
First Watch.
At First Watch. There's a place here in Austin. First thing the waitress does, she comes to our table. She has a cup of coffee, and she has the coffee server, the giant coffee pitcher in her hand. She locks eyes with Giancarlo like this, and she's looking at Giancarlo. She starts pouring the coffee into the mug, and she becomes so mesmerized with his eyes. Look at these things. She becomes so mesmerized with the eyes that as she's pouring, she forgets she's pouring, and she literally overflows coffee all over the place. It fell all over the floor and onto the table. I'm not kidding you.
True story.
Like, 100% true story. Like, again, this is a waitress. Like, she does this for a living. She's a professional at this. And you have this professional coffee server who literally outpoured the cup and just threw it all over the place because she just became mesmerized with his eyes. My point being, same thing with John.
Brother, you mention his eyes more than anybody that I know.
Yeah.
Bro.
Anybody that I know. And this waitress could have just made a mistake. But you just glazing Giancarlo right now just be.
Can you blame me?
It's like it's like the no, not placebo effect, but that or things match up and then equate it to this one thing.
Sure,
so
sure.
like, oh, that waitress tripped. She was looking at Giancarlo's eyes. Oh, that guy had a heart attack. He was looking at Giancarlo's eyes.
In fact, the fascination with my eyes comes from him.
I think so, bro. There's nobody in the world.
But in either case, that's how I got that first job with John at Fanatics. And then you just kept it going. And then the more we worked together, the better we got at working together, and the more natural of a fit it becomes.
Yeah. And then we started doing instructionals because John had the gi series. You and I meet together.
Was your first series feet to floor?
No, it was I think like half guard passing.
Go for
the fastest was way back in the beginning. But so John had Mateus, who was the previous instructor at Bernardo's. He left. I went in there and I replaced him.
Treated him nice too.
Very nice to Mateus. And purple belt world champion, like, you know, just like nice clean cut guy.
Yeah.
Loves Jesus.
Yes, exactly. So just a perfect uke. And so then he left, and then I replaced him at Bernardo's, and then they asked me if I wanted to uke, and I knew who John was, but again, I was doing more gi. I wasn't really following the no-gi scene as much, so I knew who he was. I knew him more as like an MMA coach, and obviously I knew who Gordon was, and I think he had just won or was about to win ADCC 2019. I can't remember. He might have just won it, and that's when I started ukeing for John. Cool. And then you and I started working together.
Yeah, I remember the feet to floor series.
That was a brutal one.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like, that was very long filming. That was back in the days where we would film an entire instructional in like 2 days.
Yeah.
And I mean, most people probably can't appreciate this, but to film an instructional in 2 days is a John Danaher length instructional. Like 8 hours or whatnot is a lot of work.
Yeah.
That is a lot of work, a lot of time. So it was very hard work. Now, thankfully, we've been able to. What's that? We've made changes. Mood swings. Yes.
Mood swings.
But thankfully now we've been able to change it so that we take a week to do the filming, and it's so much more comfortable. The pace is so much better. You know.
Yeah.
It just makes for a better experience overall.
Yeah, more fun, more time to go get dinners.
Yeah, but back then,
there's more time to watch fucking Sylvester Stallone movies, 1970s like Rambo movies, spaghetti westerns.
Like I said, more comfortable, better pace. That's what I said. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, but you're going back to what I was saying. Like Giancarlo came in the times where it was like filming for 2 days. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, those are good times, dude. A lot of good stories. How do you feel like do you feel like the instructionals helped you? Like, do you retain a lot from the instructionals, or are you more like in a work mode, like trying to perform?
It's a good question.
Ukeing is really, it helps you learn way more than camera work.
I believe it.
Because camera work,
for
you're
sure.
just bored
100%.
sitting.
100%, yeah.
No, 10,000%.
You zone out on the camera.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you can actually feel it as a
So
uke.
first off, when I show up to uke, so when I show up to uke for John, I know for a fact there's an opportunity for me to gain a vast amount of information in a very short amount of time. Okay. People ask me all the time, like, oh, when you do the instructionals with John, like, do you learn like all the techniques? The answer is no. I don't learn all the techniques. It's literally impossible. Like, I could sit down right now and show you 10 techniques, and you won't remember all 10 exactly or perfectly. Does that make sense? Especially if they're like 10 new techniques.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when John teaches me, like when I do an instructional with John, I don't remember all 100% of the techniques, right? Instead, what I do take away that gives me a ton of improvement off the bat is I take away at the very least the large principles or themes that he outlines and the rough structure of the entire thing.
Yeah.
That alone elevates my game big time.
Right.
That alone.
Right.
Now, obviously, do I pick up technique along the way? Yeah, of course I do. And as a matter of fact, what I've started to do as of in the more recent instructional series, I think I started doing this back when he started filming the New Wave series. Literally in between scenes, when we're like typing in the scene name and whatnot, I will type in notes for that scene right away of things that stuck out to me in that scene. Right. And I've noticed like that's helped me retain way more of the information post filming than when I would just show up for filming, do my best to just learn something, and then, you know, just hope I retain the information.
Yeah.
You don't go back on the notes, or it's just the act of writing the notes actually?
So I do. So I.
Most.
So I will. So when I go back. Okay. So number one, do I go back on the notes, or is it the act of writing the notes itself? So the way I'll answer that is this: the act of just writing the notes itself helps a ton. Okay. I mean, I've heard like research being done that has been done that if you the actual act of writing like helps with memory retention. I know typing is not as conducive, but even just actually trying to put my thoughts into words helps a lot.
Yeah.
Do I ever go back and look at the notes? Sometimes I will. Sometimes I will go back and look at the notes.
I'm pretty sure you got a whole bunch of lesson plans for teaching class.
Sure.
At your school, 5 Stones Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
What city?
Millbury.
Millbury.
We plugged it earlier today. You weren't here.
I
appreciate you plugging it again, though. But do I ever go back and look at the notes? Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, like more recently, I had a student. So the most recent series I filmed with John was guard retention. Mm-hmm. I had a student in class ask me, "Coach, you talk a lot about like offensive and defensive cycles. What exactly differentiates an offensive cycle from a defensive cycle in the context of guard retention?" I was like, "Damn, that's a good ass question." And I thought about it, and I was like, let me get back to you with that answer. I went back, I looked at my notes, because the instructional isn't even out yet.
Yeah.
I don't have access to it. Randy does. Randy has it. And I looked at the notes, and I found the part of my notes where it says, basically it outlines the 3 different situations that differentiate an offensive cycle from a defensive cycle in a guard retention context, which are opponent steps past the hip line, opponent steps past the shoulder line, opponent gets chest to chest with a knee trapped. Those are the three. So that ingrained it in my mind. The fact that I, number 1, wrote it, number 2, had a student ask about it, number 3, went back and looked at the information again. Now it's going to be very hard for me to forget it.
Right.
Like now I was able to just quote the material like right off the cuff.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I never really had success with note taking. I've never been a note taker, and I've always been like a visual learner.
Okay.
So like if I never took notes in class, like in school or anything. I never really paid attention that much in school, but
me either, but it's because I didn't care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like I always like, even when I learned jiu-jitsu, so you're talking about like language barrier. So before John, I didn't have any jiu-jitsu instructors that were their native language was English.
Interesting.
So they were always teaching in broken English.
Okay.
Some better than others, but for example, my first coach, Hillian, when he first started, literally didn't speak any English. So we were first learning, people translating, that kind of stuff. Then later he started learning, but again, he was just learning through conversation, so very, very heavy like accent. So most of my learning was like, I understood what he was saying, but in order for me to pick up details like body positioning, that kind of stuff, I had to like see what he was doing, and I could see it, and I felt like I could mimic that when I was drilling the move or performing it. So it was like visual, and then it was like the act of actually doing it and like repeating it and failing and feeling it under pressure and stuff like that. That helped me. Like I was definitely learning information by both listening, but primarily watching.
Yeah.
And then actually going in and immediately applying it. Same thing with, Lepre, who he had much better English, but still, he couldn't articulate to the same degree as John. Most English speakers can't do that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? 100%. So that's not like, especially somebody who's only been speaking English for like a short amount of time.
Before you started working with John, your English or your teaching methods and the way that you spoke was like a Brazilian dude.
Well, yeah, because I never actually had to teach. Like teaching is a skill in and of itself. Like most people, like when I first started teaching, my jiu-jitsu actually got better because I was actually conscious of what I was doing, whereas before I wasn't conscious. I talked about this recently at a seminar that I did. So it just helps you like be conscious of what you're doing, be able to actually explain what you're doing when you're teaching.
100%.
And therefore when you're actually sparring or fight or in a competitive match, you're aware, where instead of going on feel and on instinct.
Sure.
So anyways, the beginning I was more of a visual learner, and I still am, but I I never really did the note taking. For me, what really helps is immediately, as quickly as possible, trying to implement what I'm doing in a live
in training.
So if I'm learning something completely new, I will immediately, like that day and for the whole week, or an amount of time that I feel, it's going to be different for every movement, for every person.
Yeah.
The amount of time that I feel is effective for me to feel like I've absorbed that, like I'll just keep hammering at it, even if I fuck it up.
So even now, like when John teaches something that's like kind of new to you, you don't write it down?
Never.
And do you like, say for example, go back to Gracie Humaita and like teach it there to try to help ingrain it in your mind, or like what?
I would do that sometimes, but I feel like it's a lot of the stuff that I am learning and that I'm trying to add to my game doesn't really apply. So again, teaching and training and competing, all very, very different. Sure. Like if I'm trying to teach, it really depends on who I'm trying to teach, their skill level and what their goals are. And then also, you know, what I'm trying to learn at this point in my career and at this point in my life, a lot of it is very nuanced and very like tactical and competition specific. Obviously, it's on a technical level a lot of importance, but like, you know, stuff that I'm trying to learn now is like a detail on like a kimura that like, if you haven't been doing kimuras for like at least, you know, 4 or 5 years, it's not going to make sense if I show it to somebody who just learned a kimura or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or like, you know, certain like takedowns that I'm working on, or certain like specific scenarios in takedowns, so things like that. So I can't really do that as much. But when I do it in sparring, if I like go try to apply it in sparring or put myself in those positions and really feel that, I feel like that just helps me, because ultimately knowledge is super important, because that's going to be the precursor to skill.
That's the foundation.
Right, exactly. But in order to develop skill, like you don't have time to think when you're actually doing a move. And that's truly how you know if you have the skill, right? Is if you can do it without thinking.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so that's kind of like where, for me, doing positional rounds, or like a lot of times when I train, I'm very, very relaxed. And even if I'm going against somebody that's not as good as me, like if we were going 100%, it would be easy to beat them. I can make rounds hard for me because I'm trying to do things that I'm not good at.
Sure.
Because I'm trying to feel a position. Like I'm really trying to put myself there and feel different reactions. And like, let me, even though I could be tense here, like let me ease up and give them a little bit, and then feel like, okay, how would I react in this scenario? Because when you're in a live match, you know, a guy's going to get the beat on you. You know what I mean? If you're in a tight waist, they have a whizzer, like they're going to put your shoulder on the floor. It's not always going to be
100%.
Perfect. You know what I mean?
No, you can't do that with me, Bobby. You can't do that with me, bro.
This guy goes 120% no matter what.
No, I don't.
Full tension.
No, I don't, bro.
Even drilling.
Yeah, 100%.
Even drilling.
100% I don't. That's a lie. You just can't teach heart, bro.
Full tension.
It's all heart. No, it's not full tension. It's all heart.
You have chew on it. You have chew on it. But no, it's interesting you say that, Giancarlo, because I know a lot of people ask all the time, like, oh, what's training like with Gordon, or what's training like with, you know, these guys. Fact of the matter is, like, training with Gordon is great, because like Gordon, number one, he doesn't like use 100% of his capacity / strength, and number two, like he actually lets you move around a little bit and like, and, you know, plays, because again, he's trying to make the round challenging for himself too.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
For us in the room, like if I'm rolling with Nicholas or Gordon or Luke or those guys, I'm usually using those rounds to push myself on a physical level.
Of course.
Unless, you know, either, you know, beforehand we're like, oh, you want to just move around or whatever the case is. But most of the time, like if we do the open round at the end of training, and like Gordon wants to do a round or Nicholas goes to that, we're going to like really push.
Yeah, sure.
So those rounds don't happen every single day, as you know, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I mean, like that's really like how that's how I learn. Like I don't really do like notes. Like for me, the notes is like immediately like if John shows me something and I don't try to do it in training, I'm gonna forget. Like just yesterday, I was asking him about an armbar escape that I asked him about at least 3 times, and he gave me the answer that he gave me the last 3 times, and I was like, "You've told me this 3 times before. I just never practice it immediately after you show it to me, because it's usually at the end of class or something."
Okay.
So and I'll just kind of forget about it. And even though I know the answer, because I haven't actually invested the time to develop that skill, it just doesn't come to me quickly. Sure. So like, you know, yesterday I was like in this armbar situation, I was practicing getting out, and I ran into the same problem. And I asked him about it after class, and I'm like, fuck, he's already given me the answer 3 times. Like, I need to actually go and like implement it. So today I'll probably go do that.
And he just calmly gives you the answer again. Just without, he loves teaching, man. He loves just giving people the help that they need with his expertise in jiu-jitsu. Man, when I'm rolling with Gordon, it feels like he's doing side quests. Like, you finish the game.
He's doing what you said?
Side quests.
I don't know what that is.
Like, you finish, like, you know, when you finish a video game and then, like, oh, like, now you do the video game again, but then you have to do it all in, like, in red shoes or something. Or, like, oh, you have to do, like, all these, like, car rides. You ever play Grand Theft Auto?
Vice City a little bit back in the day.
Yeah, like you finish the whole mission, all the missions of the game, and now, all right, go to like all the strip clubs and like collect all the money for everybody. So it's like,
the side quests.
Yeah. It's not even like he's trying to.
Did you play a lot of GTA back in the day?
No, just San Andreas.
You played San Andreas?
I played San Andreas.
You weren't around for the Vice City days?
Vice City was
I
good.
was, but San Andreas just reminds me more of my old neighborhood.
Dude, I remember my mom.
The LA.
My mom would not let me play GTA when it came out. Like Vice City specifically, I remember when I was a kid. And I would go over to my friend Jesse's house in Puerto Rico, and I would play Vice City at his house, and it was the sickest thing ever. I was like, this is so sick.
I bet you'd go to strip clubs and just stay there and just watch it like a
well,
movie.
like, I still remember, like, as a kid, because, like, I was just a kid. Like, I was, like, maybe, like, 10 or something, and then I remember him showing me, like, yeah, you can pick up hookers in this game, and, like, and then you see the car do this. You see the car do this in the game, and
I know you.
And I don't really process like what's going on.
Shitty graphics too back
like,
then.
I don't really process like what's going on.
But still,
and like if you rotate the camera,
bro.
if you rotate the camera while using like the right
they're
analog,
just sitting there.
Yeah, they're just sitting there like this, like in the front seat like this, and the car's going back and forth, and they're just sitting there like this. So then it causes further confusion as a kid. It's like, what exactly is going on here right now? Like,
man, I could imagine the graphics today. Like, what's like?
Is there new GTAs coming out still?
I think 6 is coming out, or it came out.
GTA 6 is going. I think it got leaked or something like that. But
dude, I don't play video games either. I think if you're not getting paid to play video games,
I have no attention span for them anymore. Yeah. Like some of my friends that I used to play video games with when I was a kid, like I had this. So like my best friend growing up, he had the one that he can't fly in airplanes.
Oh, that
one? Guy, yeah. He used to, like, I would go to his house. We used to live across the street from each other, and then, like, we moved apart. So when we moved, like, probably, like, an hour or so away from each other. So if I would go to his house after we moved, usually you're sleeping over for a couple of days. But, like, he would always, since I knew him, like, it was, like, video games until, like, 5, 6, 7 in the morning.
That's crazy.
Like, as a 12, like, 13 years old.
You never did that?
But so he's doing that, but
I mean, you
no,
allowed,
bro, because I had a PlayStation. But finish your story. I have a good story.
Well, the thing is, he still does that, and like my two of my best friends growing up still do that to this day. Like they will be up until like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning just playing computer games or Xbox or PlayStation.
Waste, bro.
Yeah,
and I just don't have the attention span for that anymore. Like
I'll play the attention span. I just feel like it's gonna ruin my life.
I used to love like Call of Duty. I used to play Call of Duty all the time with my friends when I was a teenager. And then after like if I get on it now and I play for like 10 to 15, 20 minutes, I'm just like, whatever. I don't really feel like playing anymore.
Yeah.
Even like
same.
FIFA. Like me and my brother used to play FIFA all the time when we were kids. And like recently, my brother still has an Xbox. He like never uses it, so we like plugged in FIFA. We're like halfway through like our second game.
Oh, but if it's like Xbox One, bro.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's so stupid.
It's just like a waste.
Dude, when I was a kid, so we used to have the PlayStation 1. And we had like Crash Bandicoot on there.
Crash Bandicoot was good, dude.
Crash Bandicoot was a good game.
Oh, yeah.
Spyro.
We used to have Crash Bandicoot. I never got Spyro. I only had the Spyro demo. Remember the demo disc that they would give for free? They would give you a demo disc for free.
Yeah. Man, Crash Bandicoot's story is sad, bro. You ever heard about it?
I haven't.
It's the craziest. The Crash Bandicoot, he got his girl kidnapped by that Megamind dude. That dude with the...
Oh, you mean like the actual story?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he just like takes her back, no?
Well, he tries.
But he does get her back. Like, if you beat the game, you get her back.
Oh, I never beat the game. So. I never got the girl, bro.
That's why it was sad.
Dr. Nitro or something. It was Dr. Nitro or something. He had a big head, you know? And then, do you remember the kangaroo with the half dog, half kangaroo that would jump on the TNTs? Bonk.
Was that in
bonk,
Crash Bandicoot?
Bonk. Yeah.
No, I don't
Crash
remember
Bandicoot.
that.
Anyways, I remember
I couldn't get past the first round, that's why. That's probably why I don't.
We had PlayStation as a kid growing up, and dude, I remember there would be times where we would wake up, we would go to play video games immediately as kids. My dad, Puerto Rican guy, would come in. My dad was already like in his like late 50s. My dad had me in his 40s, so he was already like in his late 50s. He had already been working outside for like 2 hours. Dude, zero patience for it. He would come inside, he would grab the freaking, all the wires in the back of the TV, and he ripped that thing off the wall, just like this, like boom.
But why?
Because he'd get pissed that we were inside playing video games, not outside working.
Why did he buy the console then?
No, my mom bought it for us.
Oh.
Yeah, my mom bought us the
like,
video
dude,
game.
what are you
So he
doing?
would just like literally rip it off the wall,
Yeah.
like legit, like rip it off the wall, and he'd be like, váyase para afuera a trabajar, like go outside and work, you know? And I mean, I think it
made you fucking cut sugar cane like the slave.
we didn't have sugar cane in my house. We had banana trees, but I know what you're talking about because there was a point in time when he got into selling sugarcane juice, and I did go cut sugarcane, like the slaves used to do, which is why I like to say I'm very black. All right, I've cut sugarcane. How many black people do you know in America have cut sugarcane before? I don't know if many. I've cut sugarcane.
Fair enough.
That makes me a descendant of slaves, no?
Yeah, no problem.
So anyways, so I used to cut sugarcane with my dad, but no, in my house it was banana trees. We would go in the backyard and we would just take care of a bunch of banana trees.
Nice.
Is that why you say the N-word so much?
Unironically?
No. What?
Damn, bro. What other games did you guys play?
Crash Bandicoot was definitely a big one. Halo, the original Halo.
Halo was crazy. Do you remember the flood in Halo?
Yeah,
That was scary shit, bro.
Yeah, Halo 1, the original.
Was that Xbox? That was Xbox though, right?
Yeah.
Halo was Xbox, yeah. And then when I was in like 9th grade, we had a room with some computers, and somebody had downloaded Halo into all the computers, so you could go in there and like people would play Halo against each other, like on the computers.
Like
and
this?
Yeah, it was on a computer.
On the keyboard?
Yeah, on the keyboard. Yeah.
You guys were advanced. You guys.
Well, this was like later when I played it a few times, but it was in the. This was like I used to play it when I was a kid, on like original Xbox, FIFA, that kind of stuff, Call of Duty.
My little brother plays UFC a lot.
I played it a little bit. That was like towards the end when I was starting to get out of video games. Yeah. UFC. It was good though.
I never played UFC. My little brother was playing against his friends, and I took his controller, and he was playing with his friends online, and then my little brother just had the headset. I was just fucking his friends up real bad with GSP. I was like, bah, bah, and John Jones just fucking him up so bad. My brother's just talking shit. Yeah, fuck you. I got your ass. Because my brother sucks. He couldn't win, and then all of a sudden he went from sucking to whooping him real bad. And then his friends rage quit. They blocked him on Snapchat. It was insane.
Well, did you just like button spaz? Did you just like press the same button over and over again?
I was I learned like a good combo, like jab, jab, and then like a front kick to the head, and then I just kept spamming it. Jab, jab, boom,
jab, front kick to the head.
That's how you do it.
Dude.
That's funny.
You guys, I had a question. Just you guys film all the rising jiu-jitsu stars who kind of make it, win tournaments and things like that. Do you guys have stories of athletes that you really like working with,
Ooh.
and then some that feel themselves a little bit because they won some tournament? You don't have to name names, but are just like nightmares to work with. That kind of concept.
I got
everything funnels.
I got some
So
nightmare
you-
stories, bro.
I've heard some stories.
I got
yeah.
some nightmare stories. I can't say the names,
Yeah,
but
we definitely have a lot of nightmare stories, but we can't say names because obviously we
people-
work for a company.
some people, you can speculate all you want, but some people just get too fucking high. Too high when they come in. like high to the point where
the employees or the
no. That too. Well, maybe one or two of the employees, but no. Some people come in like they just drink like a bottle of Jack Daniels. Like I'm like, this isn't weed, bro. Yeah. Like but it is weed. And I'm like, you're flying in, like you can't get any other crazy drugs here. Like how are you like this right now? And then they film and take some like all day to film. It's like, no, I can't work with you again, buddy. But yeah, that's it. And I'll say the name. No, I'm just
kidding. We need to make this podcast go viral. I mean, yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I mean, there's definitely people that come in that probably feel like they're on the top of the world, that they're number one.
Yeah. When they haven't even competed, haven't done anything like that, or
yeah, I mean that definitely happens. But honestly, I think it's more often not the case. Not the case. Most people are like pretty decent human beings, you know. I think. I mean, I don't know. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you think like most people that do like a hard martial art, like jiu-jitsu or something, they're not like more prone to be like that? Like they feel like they're numero uno, like
that they are or they aren't.
Oh, well, like not like number one. Like I probably have like one or two of those guys.
Okay.
That feel like they're like, you know, top shit.
Sure.
But no, just more so like weird people.
Yeah.
Just like weird personalities. We get more of those in this sport.
Oh man, there's plenty of those. I mean, obviously, like I think John put it best. Like anybody that does jiu-jitsu, like you're already a weirdo. You know what I mean? Like you do jiu-jitsu, like you go in, you do a sport where you get beat up for 2 hours, and that's what you do for fun. Like there's like you have demons inside of you. Like you have something's off about you. I think there's a clip on the internet of John saying something along those lines, but in a very John-esque way, obviously.
Sure.
You know?
Giancarlo's probably the normalest dude I know in jiu-jitsu. Normalest like champion that I know in jiu-jitsu.
You think so?
Yeah. No? I don't know. I don't think Giancarlo has any weird quirks about him. Unless you keep it really deep down inside, bro.
Tell us some of your deep
Try to keep a straight face. Look at it.
We'll judge that for ourselves.
Those are going to the grave.
No, he's a pretty clean-cut dude for sure. Yeah. But I mean, definitely as far as personalities go, we've seen a lot of it for sure. You know?
I don't know if jiu-jitsu. I think jiu-jitsu just kind of like amplifies people's personality. Like if this guy's a douchebag, he's just gonna be more of a douchebag. I don't think that it humbles people, like they say.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? And if a guy's like a douche and he comes into an academy and is getting his ass kicked, usually they just leave.
Yeah, they quit. Yeah.
They don't get like humbled and turn into a new person. I feel like that's really rare.
Sure. I mean, that's not necessarily what I'm arguing. I'm just arguing that most people that come in and do a martial art like jiu-jitsu, I feel like most people I meet at most jiu-jitsu gyms, and again, it's a generality. There are obviously plenty of exceptions, but the vast majority of people that I meet at jiu-jitsu gyms that do jiu-jitsu tend to not be like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it might be because of what you just said. They get weeded out.
They get fizzled out for sure.
They get weeded out because they come in, they can't beat everybody up, and they just leave.
Right. Unless they find a gym that's like the culture.
I think I've stayed the same. Yeah. I think I've stayed the same throughout this whole time. You know me, you know like how I talk.
Yeah, it doesn't change you.
I've talked like that even before I could fight.
It's just amplified now.
Like when I was like 12 years old, before I started like training anything, I would just still have a crazy mouth on me. It's because of my mom. Shout out to my mom, but
oh, we did it.
Had to get one in there, bro. No, but and then I'm like, oh man, I should fucking really learn because I get into a lot of fights, so I should learn how to fight.
Did you get into a lot of fights growing up?
I did. I moved around a lot, so I was always the new kid. Like I moved from California to North Carolina, and then I was a new kid there, and then I moved to North Carolina to Hawaii, and I was a new kid there. Man, in Hawaii, like, I mean, I told you this. They scrap out.
The Hawaiian street fights are crazy.
We're in Hawaii, Oahu, right?
Yeah. Oahu, yeah. And then I went to Kailua Intermediate School. Man, it's the first time I ever saw somebody get kicked in the head in a street fight.
Like soccer kicked?
No, head kick, like,
bro.
Like from standing.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god,
The Hawaiian street fights I've seen online is true what he says. Like typically, like the guys know how to stand up. Like,
Dude,
they
know how to
they're
stand
like
up
in stance. They're moving their head.
Man,
they
like,
know what they're doing.
They're like, oh, you like grapple, bro? And I'm like, grapple? What the fuck is that? You gotta stand up. And then like, I didn't even know what the word grapple meant. Like when I was in intermediate school.
Is there like a lot of people in Hawaii that do striking or something like that, or like what's up?
Bro,
with
I
that?
think it's just in their culture.
Yeah,
man.
it's just a culture.
I think it's just
anywhere
in their
you
culture.
go.
It's not high level, but it's like they took like 6 months of Muay Thai or something like that.
That's what I'm saying,
it's
though.
in their blood, bro.
It's like the native like Hawaiians, like the people that are like the BJ Penns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I heard too, like I haven't actually seen it, but like I heard that it'll just be like for no reason. Like you'll just be in a grocery store,
bro.
and like to just look at each other and just start beating the fuck out of each other because like they looked at each other.
You locked eyes,
yeah,
and you don't want to look away.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear it's like that in. I haven't been,
especially if you're like super white or just like an American. Like I would hang out with all the American kids because like
In
I
Hawaii?
mean I wasn't really accepted with the Hawaiians. I didn't really want to hang out with anybody anyways, but.
I don't really like the Hawaiians.
No. I said anybody.
No,
I said anybody.
That's not what he said. We have witnesses. We have multiple witnesses up in this joint. The man just said he don't want to hang out with Hawaiians.
Yeah. No, but like all the American kids just clicked together just cause like it was like segregation, bro. It was everybody, and then no matter like what color you were, it could be like this like white girl from Kentucky and then like this black dude from like Georgia or something like that. We would all just get together. And then I remember this one time, I don't know, somebody was messing with somebody's girl. And then we just saw like 8 or 10 Hawaiian dudes coming up, like all sizes, just rushing towards us. And then once we saw them, we knew. And I was like, okay. And then it was just a brawl between all of us in the school. Just boom, boom, just like.
And you don't even know whose girl you were defending?
No, dude, I got.
You just knew you were fighting for some girl
Bro,
somewhere.
there's this other one. The first fight that I got into, and out there, like some dude said that I was messing with his girl. I was like 14, 15 years old, and I was just like, I don't even know the girl. And then the dude was like crying and stuff. And then he got somebody to come and fight me. Like somebody was running up to me, and I was just like, oh, what's going on? And he was running up, and I was like, hold on. And then boom, I was like, oh my God. So I just threw like the biggest haymaker I could throw. It just hit like a smack. Everybody was like, ooh. And then he got me in like a headlock. And then we were just like doing like the schoolyard like brawl headlock thing. And then he let me go. And then he like ran off. And I was like, who the fuck was that guy, man? And everybody started laughing. Yeah, man. But then after that, he's like, yeah, bro, I don't even know, like, I don't even think that you did it. I just scrapping, you know? I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Like, this is going to be your whole life, man.
Yeah, I heard it's like that. Like, I was in the UK, and I kind of actually caught a little bit of a glimpse with this. It was a woman, actually, at like a pub in Wales. It's like one of the only pubs that was open after Polaris when I competed, and we were there. And like, one of the ladies was mad because she thought that this other lady was like, they didn't want to talk to her for some reason. I can't remember exactly what the scenario was, but she was like ready to fucking fight. Nothing happened, but like you could see that there, and I hear it's like that in like Ireland, like Scotland. Weren't you up there just now?
Yeah, I was just in Scotland. It's very beautiful over there.
I hear that they just beat the fuck out of each other. Like if the two guys, like if we're sitting at a bar and we look at each other and like look down and then look at each other again, we'll just look at each other and they'll just be a mutual agreement and go outside. My friend was there, Dante Leon, and he said that he was there for, I can't remember what tournament. He's like, you're walking down the street where like all the pubs are at. You walk down it's like cobblestone roads. There's just teeth everywhere, blood marks on the floor. Like people fighting all the time.
What?
Did you see that when you were there?
No.
Teeth on the floor?
He's like, you'll be on the street where there'll be the pubs, and you walk outside of the pub, and there's just teeth and blood on the floor, like in the cobblestone.
I think maybe Dante was smoking a little
No, but I've heard that from a lot of people. Like I'm pretty sure there's a day in Ireland. Maybe you guys know about this.
Day in Ireland where
there's
you
a
fight.
specific day where there are people go out in the middle of the street
and
brawl. Everybody just beats the shit out of each other.
Do people die?
Probably.
Bro, I bring a mouth guard, bro. You better walk around with a mouth guard.
The Irish purge.
Apparently what they say is, do you want to have a go?
Do you want to have a go?
We'll look at each other. They'll be like, having a pint or whatever. You'll look at the guy from across the bar. You want to have a go? And then they go outside, fight, come back in, just keep drinking
Honestly,
pints.
bro, I prefer that over friggin' shooting each other, stabbing each other.
Yeah, well, there's no guns there anyways, so they can't fucking shoot each other.
They don't have guns?
I don't think so.
Not even the illegal immigrants?
England for sure doesn't have guns. I don't know about Ireland.
Not even the illegal immigrants?
I don't know. I don't know how many illegals are really trying to migrate to
Yeah, don't
Ireland.
worry. There's no Mexicans over there.
Europe?
To Ireland?
Oh, I don't know.
Well,
I know all of Europe is getting
England
infested.
definitely had a lot of different cultures. I've never been to Ireland, so I don't know. But England definitely had a lot of different.
I'm pretty sure it's a big problem in all of Europe, you know. So.
But they have the highest, I'm pretty sure, per capita knife violence in the UK.
The highest knife violence per capita.
They have no guns.
Where, in London?
But they have, if it's not the highest, it's one of the highest.
Well, I know like in France, it's like a common thing in the street to get your face slashed.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard.
I just made that up.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
It might as well be
But
true.
I have heard of That's it. Make sure you cut the reel right there.
No.
But
I actually have heard. I didn't hear that.
Thank you for telling me that it was a lie, bro.
He was never going to go to France
no,
again.
but no, I have heard that there's a lot of knife violence in France.
I have heard that there's a lot of violence. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's the UK entirely. Like that's
In the UK, there's a lot of
Yeah.
knife violence.
Yeah.
I got you.
like the zombie knife thing.
Because people don't have like guns. You're saying?
Yeah,
Interesting.
roadmen.
Well, you can't carry a gun. So like, if somebody comes up to you with a knife, like, what are you gonna do?
So the citizens are not allowed to have guns there,
I don't believe so.
I'm pretty sure it's pretty hard.
but the criminals still have them though, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It's usually how it goes.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not sure honestly what the gun violence is compared to knife violence.
No, knife violence is crazy out there.
Yeah,
I think. I remember Idris Elba. You know the actor.
Yeah.
Idris Elba.
Yeah.
He like was trying to.
Good actor.
He made like not a big fuss, but like a big thing about banning zombie knives. You know what zombie knives are?
No, I don't.
You know what zombie knives are?
Mm-hmm.
Like the big, crazy looking knives that look like they'll be in like a Walking Dead film.
Like the Rambo knife.
Yeah, like a big
Like a
Rambo
Bowie?
knife. Yeah, like that's like kind of impractical. It's like a big like curved like blade or something like that, like a humongous knife.
Okay.
He's like, man, the what's it called? The knife violence is crazy out here. I don't know if it's in the UK or in London specifically, but he made like a whole thing to ban zombie knives, and I think the zombie knives are banned. I don't know if it's because of him, but yeah.
Dude,
Knife
getting
violence
attacked by a
crazy out
knife
there.
is scary. Must be scary.
Well, the thing is too, like,
I'd rather get shot.
if
You'd
you
rather
get
get shot than stab.
I'd rather get shot than somebody close up to me just
you're,
fucking
man.
shish kebabbing me.
I think you
bro.
might be right, man. I think you might be right. I mean, I don't know.
getting stabbed seems pretty bad.
Getting
I think
stabbed seems really bad.
hidden knives are probably more dangerous. Like if somebody comes out with a giant knife like that, you'll see it beforehand.
Yeah,
It's hard for them to kind of sneak up on you with that.
yeah.
But if you have like a tiny like little shank, I could just walk up to you on the street, fucking hit you real quick, steal all your
get them.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, big knives are dangerous too.
No, I'm not saying they're not dangerous. I'm just saying
Sorry,
for
sorry.
concealability
Are
standpoint.
scary too.
Yeah,
Big
definitely.
knives are scary. Somebody pulls out a big ass knife. I remember listening to the owner of Cold Steel talking about his knives. He has one knife called the espada, right, which is Spanish for sword.
Do you have your cold still on you right now?
Maybe yes, maybe no. But in either case,
I carry that same one, by the way.
the Talwa,
Yeah, that's
Really?
good. Yeah,
Is that good?
that's a good knife.
Gave
The
it
small
to you,
one.
right?
The 4-inch.
the 4-inch. Yeah,
Yeah, it's such a good knife.
Such a good knife.
Yeah,
Thank Placido
So
for that.
sharp, yeah.
Thank Placido for
I
that.
do. Thank you.
you're welcome. But in either case, he was talking about the Cold Steel owner. I don't know his name. He was talking about the Cold Steel knives and how everybody criticizes them. They're like, bro, your knife is like a clown knife. Because the espada is literally this long folded. When you unfold it, it's like this big. And he's like,
Didn't
okay,
he carry
first
it on his
off,
fucking like shin or something?
I've carried an espada before.
No, but I'm saying the owner of the
This
Cold
dude walks
I've-
around New York with the fucking
with candy.
with the broken
Yeah.
phone.
Yes,
size
with
of
a
a
broken
board,
phone.
yeah.
I walk
As
around
a
New York
weapon,
with a
yeah,
broken
yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what I do. But in either
Because
case,
knives are illegal out there, I think. Or
I don't break the law. Not in New York City.
100%. Yeah. I know.
No, I would never want.
I've
to
never seen you come to the office with anything that's illegal.
Correct. I would never want to defend myself from a homeless person in New York City ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trying to bite you.
I would rather be stabbed than to break the law.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in
You'd
either
rather
case,
be carried by 6 than judged by 12.
yes,
Yeah.
100%. I kept the law to my death, But going back to the Cold Steel owner, he was like, okay, first off, with this big knife, there's nothing that a little knife can do that this big knife can't. And he's like, second of all, if you come up to me in the street and you pull out your blade and I pull this blade out, who's going to win that fight?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a good point in my opinion.
For sure.
What's it called? I heard this quote. The guy that carries a gun or something like that. The guy that carries a gun is a fool every day of the year except one, or something like that. Every day in his life except one.
Yeah,
So
I could see that. Yeah, I could see how that is.
It's like, man, you carrying that big old knife, but that one day that you need it, which is, I think it's stupid to carry that big knife. But
for sure.
It's in like you got to be really like. And carrying, I feel like, is just inconvenient no matter how you do it. You could try to make it as comfortable 100%. As you want; it's still annoying.
Yeah,
100%.
You have a little James Bond shooter to make it comfortable. Put it in your pocket.
100%. Yeah. So it is past 2. Are we gonna go to training?
Yeah. All right. So we can we can close it there.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks so much. Anything else
Thanks
you want to say before we leave?
I have a YouTube channel. I've been growing. Michael Zengo is actually the one who first started encouraging me to grow it. So that was at the beginning of this year. I was at 2,000 subscribers. It's now 3 months later, and I'm almost at 5,000 subscribers. So I've been able to grow 1,000 subscribers a month so far. I am pumping out quality content.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the people that listen to this podcast would enjoy the YouTube channel.
Yeah, if you like my channel, you've probably seen Placido on there. We've collaborated on some videos, so make sure you subscribe.
What's the YouTube channel called, bro?
It's just my name. If you just type in my name and you look up channels, you'll find it. There are a lot of videos with my name on it, but if you type in Placido Santos and then you go to channels, you'll find the channel name, which is...
We'll link it in the YouTube description,
awesome.
For sure. Ty, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Do you think that you can beat a lion if it had no teeth and no claws?
Has he asked you this?
He did. He asked me last night.
No teeth and no claws. 300 pounds.
He's been asking me this for 600. What is it? A baby lion?
No.
What's a fully grown lion weigh?
It's like a fully grown is like 500 or something like that. Yeah. So what do you think? Gordon says he can.
I don't know, man.
Gordon says he can.
Maybe. I don't think so.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
No, there's no way I could beat a fully grown male lion, even without teeth and without claws.
If it doesn't bite you.
Even
Bro,
if
it has so much weight on me. Like,
just the size and the strength of it.
All right. So a 400-pound man, you couldn't beat him no matter what.
A man is different.
Listen to this.
You're talking about the weight and size.
Look at this.
And the man will be more intelligent.
Male lions grow to be 9 to 10 feet long and can weigh up to 500 pounds, bro.
That's more.
You're talking about an animal who is
lean,
instinct,
lean mass,
who is used to fighting and hunting for its life.
But it's not
a 400-pound man.
I don't believe.
Goes to the grocery store and fucking.
I don't believe that I could beat it. But I'm just saying, this, like, I think people overestimate the lion's capability to freaking faint and strike with you, bro.
I think that when you get tired, you're gonna stop and the lion's gonna keep going. That's what I think.
I mean, the lion's paw must be super heavy.
Dude, if it swats you with its paw, if it fucking charges
it'll knock you out.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you could literally
pull counter,
jump
bro.
on
That's it.
you.
Pull
Like
counter.
A lion could probably, like a full-grown male lion could probably like jump like probably close to on that balcony, if not get its claws on.
Gary was telling a story yesterday because he asked this about a girl who was a lion trainer or a tiger trainer at a zoo, and she was just playing with the tiger. The tiger wasn't attacking her, and it laid on top of her, and she couldn't get out, and it crushed her rib cage.
And she died.
She was like 110 pounds though.
She was like, she was. I was a woman, so she's probably like, I need like 130 pounds, something like that. But still,
she crushed her.
He was just playing. Like
that lion's getting butterfly swept.
That's sad. But still, man, dude,
Leon.
I think Ty. I think
neck,
if you
it's so big, you wouldn't be able to even wrap your arm.
I know. Even if I give it like my hardest punch, I don't think like it would phase it.
Yeah,
the skull is so huge, bro.
Yeah.
Like the bones are so thick.
You'd break your hand on its skull.
The skin on a lion is thick and like heavy.
Yeah.
Like even its skin is like different than ours. Like human skin compared to a lion skin is like nothing, bro. You know.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, we wouldn't win that fight.
Yeah. Speak for yourself.
I try to cut my fucking cat's nails, and bro, that is a war.
Really?
It is a war, man. Like it's a whole fucking thing. Hair everywhere. They're hard to fucking pin down.
Your hair.
Their hair. No, they're shedding. Dude, they're fucking hard to pin down. And these are like 12-pound cats, 10-pound cats. They're hard to pin down. When you try to pin them and like clip it, they fucking go crazy, dude. They'll scratch.
Have you ever been attacked by a cat?
Not like attacked viciously, but I've definitely cats have like fucking.
I was attacked by a cat once, a house cat in Puerto Rico one time when I was a kid. I had a bunch of dogs at my house, and we had cats as well. And if the cats got out from upstairs, we kept the dogs outside and downstairs, and the cats inside and upstairs. So if the cats ever got out and the dogs got a piece of them, they would literally kill the cat. They would bite the cat, like in the midsection. They would eat parts of the cat, and then we'd wake up the next morning, the cat would be dead. So one time, one of our cats got out. I heard the dogs barking downstairs, huge commotion. Went downstairs. The dogs had pinned the cat behind a board that was leaning up against the fence, and the cat was in there, behind the board. And the dogs were at the mouth of the board just barking at the cat. This cat was terrified. I'm a kid. I come into the situation. I'm like, get the dogs away, get the dogs away. And then I foolishly reach inside the board to grab the cat. The cat is obviously terrified.
He's fighting for his life.
Dude, the cat, I'm talking about like in 2 seconds, the amount of damage it did to my arm and my hand was ridiculous. It clawed onto me. It freaking multiple claws. Multiple like scratches, claws, and bites. Cats, when they bite, they don't bite like a dog. When a dog bites, like, it bites and it shakes. A cat is like rapid fire. It bites, releases, bites, releases, like right? Bites, releases. Bro. Dude, multiple times the cat was biting my arm. I got scratched up and multiple bites. I remember it was on my right arm right here because I'm a righty.
And the dog feels sorry for you, bro. He's like, I'm sorry.
The dog's giving me love.
Should have protected
you. Dude, in like 2 seconds, I got my arm completely jacked up by a house cat.
Dude, it's crazy. If they don't want you to, like, if they don't want to be held, you're not going to hold them. You're going to get fucked up trying to hold them.
That's why I don't fuck with cats, man. I used to have cats.
Yeah, well, now you're talking about fucking with a 500-pound cat.
Dude, 9 to 10 feet long.
All animals have fear in their body. You got to instill a fear.
That's exactly why you will die. Because they are fearing for their life.
Just a couple of calf kicks, bro. Boom, boom. And they're like this, trying to hit you.
He thinks it's a fucking MMA fight.
Yeah, the ref is going to be in there, bro.
Exactly.
If he gets on top. If the fight's going slow, he's just standing there. He's going to be stand him up. Ref, stand me up.
The line's on top. Ref, stand me up.
Stand me up. What is this?
That's hilarious. That's funny. All right, let's go to training.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Thank you guys. See you guys next time.